one, in this video, instead of teaching you how to use the Python, I want to call out all the functional form we learned in this semester are actually able to solve using Excel. Although it's not as simple as this one line of code, you just saw, if you already watched how to use the Jupyter Notebook to getting different kind of functional forms result, and you can look at this one, you will notice that we actually need to do some data manipulation before we can run the regression. So basically, we are doing the data creation. Okay, so in this video, I want to demonstrate three kind of functional form we learned in the functional form section. So first is called a double log. So basically, both my x variable and my y variable are taking a natural log. So the other one is about intersection of the two variables. And then so although it's not in my Python code, but we definitely talked about in our lecture in this, and also when you're reading the book, you also learn the interaction term. So here I also talk about the second model is interaction. And the last one is our polynomial model. So with the power by 2. So also we call second degree polynomial model, also called a quadratic model as well, okay, because the x variable's highest power is 2. So we are looking at the three models. So all of them involving variable creation, okay, variable creation. So first, let's look at the double log. So in order to run the double log, as you notice that for my y variable and x variables, so they all need to take a natural log. If you look at our original model, so in this data set, we are trying to look at the different kind of x variables, how they are impacting my sales price for a tractor, okay. So from E to L column, so they are all dummy variables. So when we look at the dummy variables, we do not do any natural log, and also we are not taking the reciprocal, so we don't inverse our dummy variable as well. So first, for this model, as we look at my y variable is the sales price, and my x variables are horsepower and age, but all of them need to take natural log. So what I need to do is I need to create a new column. So first, the column I need to create is my y variable. It's called a log sale price, right? And besides that, I also need to have the log age. And also we need the we need the log horsepower and the log age. Sorry. So line horsepower and then line age. So sometimes I just call line and log. So it's a personal habit, although they're different. But the things in the real world, sometimes people just when we call log, everybody know that's line. Okay. So the difference between log and the line sometimes because the whether they are based by E or based by 10. Okay. So now we are able to converting my data to line, okay, natural log. So in the cell under the M column, I type in equal and then ln. So this literally just taking the natural log. And then parentheses, I will select the sale price and close the parentheses and then move them. And then after I finished it, I push enter. And then I select the same cell again and move the mouse to the right down corner. And you can drag it down or you can double click. So for this first trial, I will just drag it down to my last row. Okay. So as you see all the number here, they are all the natural log of my y variable. Now I'm going to work on the x variables. So I will select equal, line, and now I will select my horsepower, close the parentheses, and then push enter. And I will do the same thing and then move the mouse down. Now the next is age, and then we type equal, and then line, natural log, and then I will select age and close the parentheses, push enter, and select the data again, and move the mouse to the right down corner. Like I said, you can double click until it turns into black and double click. Now I finish all of them. Okay, great. So now I have my y variable, my x variables. So that's the model we're going to estimate. And then what we're going to do is we click data analysis, and we are finding the one called the regression, and then click OK. So my y range is M column, okay, and then my x range is my N and O column. Okay, and after do that, check the box labels, and I'll put that in the new page called double log. And then you can click in all those residuals because you can do diagnostics, and I can click OK. Okay, here they go. So the output I receive here is my regression output for the double log. So you can see my x variables. So there are all the coefficient for the natural log variables. Okay, again, this is the double log. Next, we're gonna look at the second question, second model we're listing here. So this is called the regression model in the intersection. So what happened is we believe the age and whether the tractor is forward or not have some kind of relationship. So therefore, we want to include in this new variable called the age and the forward intersection into my model. However, we don't have this variable set up yet. So therefore, we need to creating this new variable called age and forward. So before I creating this variable, I want to mention that all my x variables has to next to each other when you run the regression. So of course, if I creating age and the forward in the column P, so that x variable will be far away from my horsepower column, so it does not work. So what I need to do is I will inserting a new column right next to my horsepower to assure the horsepower and my intersection term age and the forward, they are next to each other. So the other option is we are just copy the horsepower column and paste in the new column, and then right next to it I'm creating a new column called the age times forward, because that is how the intersection term should look like, right? So after I do that, I type equal, and then I select age, and then times the value under the forward. So I literally follow how I define this column to creating the values, right? So once I did it, I push enter. So that is the first tractor's intersection term equal to 2. So instead of to do one by one, we can use Excel's drag down function. I click the cell, move the mouse to the right down corner, and double clicked. So Excel helped me to finish calculating the rest of the intersection term. Okay, now I have my first x and the second x, so they are next to each other. So that is the two variable I needed for this regression model. Now I can start to run the regression. Under the data tab, I click data analysis for the regression, click OK. So my I need to click my y variable. So my y variable here, since I'm not taking natural log, I'm using my 8 columns value. And then after that, for my x range, so that is a 2 in the column Q and R I just created. Like I said, all your x variable has to next to each other. There are no gap, no other variables. So after I do that, I need to name this one called interactions. Interactions, because I had interaction term. Okay, now this is my output from this interaction model. As you see that we have the first x variable is horsepower, and the second x variable is the intersection term between age and the forward. Okay, so this is the second model I want to talk about. And then the last model is called the second order polynomial model, or we call it a quadratic model as well, because the highest order of my x variable is the horsepower squared. Yeah, horsepower squared. So therefore, in this model, we have two variables. One is horsepower, the other is horsepower squared. So if you look at the current data set, we actually do not have horsepower squared. We only have horsepower. So therefore, we need to creating these new variables. And then again, I want to make sure I will insert 2 blank columns so that I can place my horsepower and also my horsepower square together. So first, let me copy my horsepower. So that's my first x variable, right? So I copy my horsepower and paste it. Okay, and now I will creating the second variable, It's called a horsepower square. Caret square means it's the power of the number, right? So how can we get in the value for horsepower square? We literally just follow what we're seeing here. We select the value of the horsepower and then caret 2. So that basically we just square every value under the horsepower and then push enter. And then we use Excel drag down function. I move the mouse to the right down corner and double clicked. So now I'm able to getting all the value for my horsepower square. Now I can start to run the regression under the data and then click data analysis and choose regression, click OK. And then my y variable are still at the column A because I am not taking natural log. And for my x range, we will select the 2 column I just created here. And then after that, and I'm gonna call this as quadratic model. Quadratic. Hopefully I spell right. Wait, maybe I spell quadratic. And then click OK. So now you see the new tab here. This is my quadratic model. If you look at my variables, I intersect the horse and the horsepower square. So this is the new variable I created. And so in the previous lecture, I talked about how you are actually able to decide what kind of functional form you're going to use. At this point, all this video will help you on your lab 3. And if you have any question, feel free to reach out to me. And also, as you're working on the lab, also thinking about how you can leverage in those functional forms to helping you to solving your class project. And have a good one. Bye.